Today we are going to explore the Arctic Ocean using Google Maps. Of course, there are not many photos of this ocean on Google Street View, but it will be enough for us. Its area is only 14 million square kilometers, 4% of the Earth's surface, or even less, depending on where we draw the line between the Arctic Ocean and the Pacific Ocean, or Atlantic Ocean. In the case of the Pacific Ocean, there are few disputes. The border is drawn along the Bering Strait. In the case of the Atlantic Ocean, there are certain difficulties. For example, the Baffin Bay between Greenland and Baffin Island is considered part of the Arctic Ocean. It is connected by the Davis Strait to the Labrador Sea, which is considered part of the Atlantic. From this sea, you can go through the Hudson Strait to Hudson Bay. This bay is considered part of the Arctic Ocean. After all, it is surrounded by the islands of the Arctic archipelago, and the climate here is quite cold. The bay can freeze in winter. However, there are also suggestions that Hudson Bay should be classified as part of the Atlantic Ocean because of the significant water exchange between them. However, if we include it in the Arctic Ocean, there is one interesting thing. The southernmost point of James Bay, which belongs to Hudson Bay, lies at about the 51st parallel, almost like London or Berlin. Let's go back to Greenland. From the west, we already know that it is partly surrounded by the Arctic Ocean, and partly by the Atlantic Ocean. From the east, it is the same. It is believed that the border between the oceans runs from Greenland, through the Denmark Strait, to Iceland. Iceland, the largest volcanic island in the world, is known as the land of fire and ice. This is where disagreements arise. If we take into account the shape of the seabed and the presence of oceanic ridges, the border is drawn to the Faroe Islands and then to Norway. If we take into account the climate in this area, which is influenced by the North Atlantic Current and its extension, the Norwegian Current, the border is drawn to the Svalbard archipelago, and only then to the Norwegian coast. The Arctic Ocean includes several seas, some of which have already been mentioned. We have the Lincoln Sea and the Greenland Sea, which surround Greenland. The main geographical feature of the location of the seas of the Arctic Ocean is that most of them are marginal. Depending on the established border, we have the Norwegian Sea, the Barents Sea, White Sea, Kara Sea, Laptov Sea, East Siberian Sea, and Chukchi Sea stretch along the northern shores of Eurasia. The sea that washes Alaska and part of Canada in the north is the Beaufort Sea. Another interesting place belonging to Norway is the Svalbard archipelago. Along the Eurasian coast, you will find islands or archipelagos such as Novaya Zemlya, Franz Josef Land, Severnaya Zemlya, New Siberian Islands, and Wrangel Island. These are inaccessible, empty, ice and snow-covered lands. These islands are important in the context of climate change research. The Greenland ice sheet has been around for at least 3 million years, but the Arctic is also famous for its sea ice, and it is very important for many reasons. Sea ice is very different from the ice sheet of Antarctica or Greenland, where ice is formed by the accumulation and transformation of snow. Arctic Ocean sea ice is a layer of ice several centimeters to even several meters thick that drifts across the surface of the seas. It forms when the water temperature in the ocean drops below 2 degrees Celsius. Since this water is salty, it freezes at a lower temperature than fresh water. Just a few decades ago, ships could not travel here in winter, and transportation between the Atlantic and Pacific was limited to the summer months when ice levels were lower. Current climate change, as well as increasingly efficient icebreakers, are slowly reversing this trend. These sea routes can save a lot of time and money. For example, it has been estimated that the distance from Denmark to Japan across the Arctic Ocean is approximately 14,000 kilometers. And if you go through the Suez Canal, it is as much as 23,000 kilometers. Another point I want to draw attention to is the North Pole itself. By definition, it is the northernmost point on Earth, opposite the South Pole. Interesting fact, Neil Armstrong, the first man to set foot on the moon, visited the North Pole along with another legend, Edmund Hillary, the first man to climb Mount Everest. However, the first person to arrive at the pole was most likely Robert Edwin Peary, who got there on April 6, 1909, in the company of a black servant and 4 Eskimo guides. The waters and ice of the Arctic Ocean hide huge underwater ranges: the Lomonosov Ridge, Alpha Ridge, Mendeleev Ridge, and Gackel Ridge. These are mountain chains that stretch across the ocean floor. The Amundsen Basin stretches between the Lomonosov Ridge and Gackel Ridge. The study of the Arctic Ocean provides valuable information about the geological history of the Arctic, how it was formed millions of years ago. This region contains valuable mineral resources such as oil, gas, and other minerals. It is important to note that the study of this ocean should take into account the environmental fragility of the Arctic. Any activities related to research or resource extraction should be carried out with minimal environmental impact. And remember, there are no penguins in the Arctic, and it is worth remembering that polar bears and penguins can live side by side only in a zoo. This was our look at all the most important things you need to know about the Arctic Ocean. If you like these geographical episodes and would like to see more of them, don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you won't miss a new video and will also support the development of our channel. Write in the comments what other ocean or continent you would like to hear about in the next episode. Thank you for your attention and see you soon.